Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Spicy Pisces podcast. I'm your host, Emma Jepson, and I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, I've been wanting to start this for a while now. I got really in my head because I was like, I need it to be perfect. I need to talk about things perfectly and I can't mess up, and this has to be like a perfect intro explaining why I'm starting this and who I am and why I want to share what I want to share. And that's just like that's just like human nature, right? We want to be perfect, and because if people are judging us, we want it to be something that we're proud of and that people enjoy, whatever it might be. And I was just like, I just need to sit down and start this because it's never going to be perfect and there's never going to be a perfect time. So here we are on a random Tuesday in October, like an hour before I have to go to class. So yeah, let's chat about why I'm starting this podcast, who I am, what I want to talk about, and just like a few other things just to start it off. So first off, let's start with who I am. So my name is Emma. I am a content creator, blogger, baker. I run an Instagram account called Eats by Emma. Some of you might have found this podcast through that. Some of you might have no idea who I am or what I'm talking about, which is perfectly okay. It's an Instagram account I started my junior year of high school, currently a junior in college right now, so it's been about 4 years in the making, and I just actually launched a website and a blog for it, which I'm super excited about. It's just my full name, Emma Jepsen, JEPSEN.com, and all of my recipes can be found there in a more easy to find format, because otherwise you have to scroll back in my Instagram feed, which a lot of people were complaining about, so now they're on one spot. And also I'm posting blogs and longer form content and talk about these things in a little bit more depth. And by things, I mean like body image. I dealt with an eating disorder back in high school, and that's part of why I started my Instagram account as a way to hold myself accountable, to heal my relationship with food, post about my recovery journey, and share it with, I literally had like 70 followers starting out, and I'd share it with all of these random people. And the only comments I were getting were from like my sister and mom. And that's what it started as. And now it's a platform where I talk about body image, healing my relationship with food. I'm 4 years into recovery and I'm still nowhere near being fully recovered, but I am like the happiest I've ever been. And I have the healthiest relationship with food in my body that I've ever had, which I'm so grateful for. I'm able to eat more intuitively now, not restrict. I'm able to acknowledge if any of these negative thoughts pop up, and I'm able to address them and just remind myself I don't need to listen to that voice in my head. Like, I can eat whatever I'm craving. I'm going to eat enough to make me feel good, and that just tends to be more quote-unquote nutrient-dense food. But I can also eat a cookie if I want, if they sell them or like have them for free at a club event. Like, I'm not gonna not let myself have one if they look really good. A lot of the clubs have been having insomnia cookies this semester, and those are like some of my favorite cookies ever, so of course I'm gonna pick one up and eat it. Life is way too short to not enjoy what you eat, so eat the cookie, eat the brownie, eat whatever it may be. Yeah, and just I'm able to balance everything so much better now and remind myself that my body is not all there is to me. There's so much more to me than just what I look like, and that's another episode that I want to talk about. Some of the other passions I've learned, or I guess I've learned that I enjoy doing now that I've started dedicating less of my mental capacity and energy towards caring about counting how many calories I eat in a day or how many calories are in a dish, and what my body looks like and how I look, and etc., etc. I'm just fallen into so many other cool interests and areas of study, and like I'm really into startups and venture capital, for example, which like who would have thought? I feel like that's kind of random, but I never would have known that about myself, and that's kind of, I think that's something I do want to go into sometime in the future. Maybe not like right after post-grad, but eventually. But I never would have learned that if I didn't start healing my relationship with food and my body and taking my mental focus away from that and moving it towards other things. And yeah, so that's why I started the account. that's where it is today. I absolutely love everyone that I met through there, and the people that follow me. Y'all are like the best people ever. It's truly been one of the most like pivotal things that's helped me in my recovery journey, and seeing people talk about food and body image in a way I never heard anyone else talk about it before, and what diet culture promotes. That's what I'd grown up learning. That's what I thought was normal. That's what I thought was the like expected way of thinking about these things, but that's not at all true. And these other people I've met have helped show me that you can think conversely of that. You don't need to go, you think about things that way and make that your whole like main purpose and focus in life. Like you don't have to choose to do what is expected. And just seeing these incredible people talk about, like, just openly talking about these topics in a way I never heard anyone else talk about them was like so eye-opening, and like struck something inside of me. And that's really what helped me kickstart my recovery journey and choose to start healing, and I've never looked back. So yeah, and I'm starting this podcast because one of also the biggest things that's helped me in my recovery journey is talking to people about my struggles and what I'd gone through, and relating to other people and hearing them share their story with me, and just talking about things. I feel like then I've also like started therapy and talked about some other things, and I've realized it's super helpful. And like you realize things you didn't even realize you were holding on to, or you're just talking about things, like getting it outside of your body and your head and anything you're holding on to. And it just really helps you start like healing and feeling lighter, and feeling there's a little less weight on your shoulder and on your chest with all of this. And I feel like listening to people talk about things is very different than me just posting a reel or writing up a caption or a blog post, which is a little less personal. And I don't know, I just love podcasts as well, listening to people talk about random things that they're passionate about. So this is also like just a fun project for me to work on that I'm really excited about. And so yeah, that's who I am. That's the main reason I decided to start this. And going into like what I want to talk about, I guess. So mainly body image, food, that healing journey. But then there's also some other things now that I am in college. I'll just list some examples, but like friends, and like how do you choose the right friends when you come to college? Because I feel like you kind of just latch on to people in the beginning, and like growing up in high school, you're surrounded by the same people. At least I was, since pretty much like elementary school, so you didn't have a lot of choice in who you chose to hang out with and the activities you could do, because I grew up in the suburbs, so there really wasn't a lot to do besides like going to house parties and driving around and sitting in parking lots eating like Chick-fil-A and whatever. So I had some really great friends in high school that I'm still friends with today, but it's nice coming to college and meeting so many more people that I'm similar to and that I enjoy hanging out with, and that enjoy doing the same things I do and see things the same way I do. But that wasn't always the case. I did have some friendship breakups along the way, and just people that necessarily didn't align with my values, and I kind of lost sight of my values for a brief period. So that's another episode that I want to talk about. And just like, how do you find the right people that like, or not, I guess in high school, this is something I just kind of posted a story about, but I felt like it was expected for me to like certain things, like going to football games and going to house parties and, I don't know, being a fan of all of that culture, when really I'm a little bit more introverted and reserved. And although it's fun sometimes, like I don't want to do that every weekend. And I thought that there was something wrong with me because I didn't enjoy doing all of that stuff. And I thought people thought it was weird because I'd be kind of more quiet at these events, or not super rowdy, or like, I don't know. So coming to college, I was like, I rushed, and I know some of my friends absolutely love the sororities they joined in, the whole Greek system, and like I'm so happy for them that they found their group of people in there. But for me personally, I had a horrible experience rushing, and it's just, also, I'm not shitting on like any of the anyone that enjoys this stuff. This is just me personally, and like my own personality is not a great fit for that, and maybe I didn't meet the right people either, but I was trying to like force myself to fit this image and person I thought I should be coming to school, and I was like, you know what, it's okay to not, if you don't enjoy this, like, stop forcing it. Like, it's okay to not like it just because all of your friends are doing it. And yeah, like, I've never been a fan of the whole frat culture. I really don't love that stuff at all. And just, that's also another episode to talk about, like, the whole, like, everyone, like, the only thing you talk about in friend groups is, like, guys or who's getting with who, or, like, what he said or she said or whatever. And I was kind of getting sick of that because it was almost like that was the only thing people would ask about you if there was any guy or girl in your life or whoever it might be. Like, if you didn't have anything going on related to that, like, you're not interesting, and like, I don't know, they don't ask anything else about you. And I feel like there's so many other things you could be talking about and so many more like rich and deep conversations you could be having about your life and other interests and other passions and hobbies that kind of energize you as opposed to make you feel shitty about yourself. So that's another episode that I want to talk about. And then also how normalized disordered eating culture is here. Recovery's been really hard coming to college, and just roommates and other people and comments people make about wishing they looked like this person, or not eating before going out because they don't want to be bloated, or I don't know, just all of that. If anyone has gone through college or is in college right now, you probably know what I'm talking about. And that's another topic that I want to talk about as well. What else? I think, oh yeah, like being more introverted than extroverted, and like the stigma surrounding that, and how people don't think you can be like a good leader, or you're not confident because you're more quiet, which is like not true at all. And kind of growing up like that and learning to see that as a positive side of myself as opposed to something negative, or that, again, like going back to trying to fit in with a certain crowd that wasn't really my vibe, like forcing myself to be more extroverted than I really am. And I really value my alone time, and I need it to recharge. And I love being around people and hanging out with people and communicating with others. But that's not something that really, I know for like my sister and other extroverts, for example, they really thrive off of that energy, and like they love being around other people a lot of the time. And I really enjoy talking to certain people for long periods of time and being around people, but I really need my alone time to recharge, which I finally realized. And that's not something weird if I want to go on a walk by myself, or go get coffee by myself, or like spend a whole day just by myself on the weekend. Like, that's not weird or something to feel ashamed or embarrassed about if I like doing it. And if that is what works for me, then that's totally fine. Like, it's not weird. And yeah, that's another topic. What else did I have? Oh, I guess like learning to set boundaries as well. Walking away from people and things that are no longer making me happy or serving me. It's super difficult to do, but learning like how to do it and my experiences with that. And yeah, so there's a lot of other topics that I'm passionate about that I want to talk about. And I've started posting about on my Instagram, and a lot of other people have resonated with what I've had to say. And I think that some of these topics deserve a lot more space to talk about. So that's why I want to talk about them here. And now moving on to the name. So I am in fact a Pisces, born in February, and we tend to get the rep that we're more emotional, we cry a lot, we take things more personally, which I don't know if that's true across the board, but I definitely was a very emotional child. I cried a lot, more so than my siblings and friends, and I thought it was really embarrassing, but like I couldn't help myself. And I kind of repressed that for a while because I would just internalize things, and I think that's also part of where the eating disorder stemmed from, because I wasn't crying and letting out my emotions. I was holding everything in, and now I'm learning to appreciate this emotional side of myself. And also, I think being in, like, I'm also studying business and finance, and there's the whole, like, finance bro, whatever, like, being in the conference rooms and the guys in the suits are, like, not emotional at all, and there's a very set way to do things, and you can't show any weakness, and people think being emotional and crying is a sign of weakness when it's really not, because learning how to honor your emotions and like embrace any emotions that pop up, and if that means you end up crying, like just knowing how to feel your emotions, which a lot of people don't know how to do anymore because we've just been taught to repress everything and not show them because it's a quote unquote sign of weakness. But it takes a lot of strength to do that. And then that's where the spicy part comes in. So I'm learning to honor this more emotional side of myself and embrace it again. But I'm also learning how to not dedicate as much mental capacity and emotional, like, not crying over things that aren't worth my tears, if that makes sense, because some people are just simply assholes or aren't worthy of me getting upset over things, and also learning how to set boundaries and not be super, I don't have to be nice with everyone. I don't have to be like, I don't want to say kind because I like being kind to people, but how do I want to say it? Being like open to everyone and having different levels of myself that people have access to. I don't have to give myself to everyone, and not everyone deserves to have my full love and attention and energy. I don't have to give it to everyone, and learning how to set boundaries and say no to things and people and walk away from things has been more hard because I really love seeing the best in people, and it's just hard for me to, in the past, it's been hard to stand up for myself and do what I know is right, even though it's uncomfortable, and having this side to myself where I'm able to stand up and say, like, no, you don't get to do that to me, or you don't get to access this part of me anymore because you crossed this line. Or even like group projects. I mean, I've always been, like I said, more introverted and quiet, and learning just to use my voice and speak up more when things aren't right. And there's a person in the group that wants to do everything their way, or it's like their way or the highway, and I'm like, that's not a good idea, because everyone should be able to share their opinions. Or and also with that as well, I think, like, also a girl, we tend to be more emotional, and because of that, a lot of people, and like I said, I'm studying business, so I'm just using this as an example, but it's the case in so many other industries, which is very sad. But because we're more emotional, we're not able to be leaders or bosses or managers or whatever it may be, because we're more emotional, so we tend to be seen as more fragile beings, when like that, the two, and like, they're not correlated at all. You can still be emotional and have feelings and cry and still be like a great leader, a great boss. Like, I don't understand why people think the two are correlated, but they're not. So learning that I can still be both, and I can still be a Pisces and emotional and vulnerable and cry and feel my emotions, and I can also still be super strong and brave and stand up for myself and use my voice. And just because I'm emotional, it doesn't mean I'm fragile. It means I'm actually strong, because I can acknowledge my emotions and actually feel them, which takes a lot of strength and courage, because it's super uncomfortable at times if you've been holding things in for a while, or they've been weighing on you, because it's like a heavy topic to talk about, like actually talking about these things. It takes a lot of bravery. So yeah, spicy Pisces, you can still be emotional and cry, and you can still be like a boss ass bitch. So that's where the name came from. And yeah, so some episodes are going to be more like Q&A style. I don't know how to do this yet. I'm like just learning how to use GarageBand and like upload podcasts. So I'm going to post an update on my Instagram once I do this, or I might post the Q&A like boxes there for everyone to drop their questions. But I want to do Q&A style, and I might put the box like underneath the episode or show notes as well. I've seen some people do that, so I'll figure that out. Some are going to be more streams of consciousness, like this episode, just talking about like either something that happened to me recently that I want to chat about, or something I've been thinking about a lot, or something that someone brought up and I'm like, this deserves a whole episode to talk about, because there's a lot to get into. like some of the other ones I mentioned previously, those will be more of like personal one-on-one episodes, like you and me kind of chatting about that stuff. And I also want to bring in some really cool guests for chats and some other topics maybe that I didn't bring up, but I'm also really passionate about. And I think there's a lot of people who could resonate with these topics and kind of like what we talk about. So like, for example, I want to bring on my sister and talk about our relationship and how it's been really rocky in the past, but now we're like the strongest we've ever been. And she's truly like my best friend, like in the world, and kind of how we got to this space and how our relationship has evolved over the years, and she has other experiences what I've haven't gone through. And, I think she deserves a place to talk about those things as well. And also my mom. So she's like a woman in business, a total like boss. I'm so grateful that she is like my mom in my life. And she's been a great role model for me in navigating so many things. She just always has like the best advice. So maybe we could do like a Q&A style with her, and like everyone can drop their questions and she can answer them. And we can also talk about like her and I one-on-one about our relationship as well, because that was also really, really rocky for a brief period. Like we were not good for a couple years when I was in high school, and I was just going through like, I feel like a lot of girls have this like the bitchy phase. So yeah. And also she was going through things as well, which I now have appreciation and like empathy towards. So just talking about that and how we navigated our relationship and how we got to where we are today, because it's really, really great today. And yeah, I think I'm going to try to post an episode every week. I don't know how that's going to go because school is really hectic right now, but I want to see this as more of like a fun thing to look forward to film and edit and kind of publish on the weekends. So I'm hoping every Sunday I'll have something new up, but might deviate a little here and there, but that's the goal right now. And I think that's all I had. I had like a little note sheet of what I wanted to talk about, but yeah, apologies if that was really hectic and chaotic. I was like, I just need to film this and get something out there, and I also have to run to class in like 5 minutes, so I was rushing to get this done. But I hope that if you made it to this point, actually, thank you for listening all of the way. I hope you stick around for a few more episodes. They're going to be a little bit more in depth on other topics, and I hope that those are a little bit more like they follow a little bit more clearly, because this one was a little all over the place, which I apologize for. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.